What's up, everyone? It's Tim from Tim Plays Game, here with tips and tricks for Splatfest and Splatoon 2 for Nintendo Switch. Today we'll talk about some basic preparations you can make before the match, and strategies that can save you during the match to help you increase your team's chances of winning. Let's begin with tip number 1. Tip number 1. It doesn't matter which team you choose. It's true that one of the factors that decides the winning team in Splatfest is popularity, but that does not necessarily mean the popular team will win. Some people even believe that the unpopular team has a better advantage of winning Splatfest, since the popular team may have more inexperienced players. But this is also not always true. The most popular team doesn't always win, and whichever team is most popular isn't always clear. Therefore, you should pick the team you like the most and not worry about what everyone else says. Bottom line, your team has a 50-50 chance of winning regardless of which team you choose. Tip number 2. Splatfest matches are not like normal turf war matches. The rules of turf war are the same, but certain aspects change in Splatfest matches. For instance, there are 3 stages in the stage rotation, one of which is Shifty Station, which is always different for every Splatfest. You also have to factor in the ranked and squad matches will not be running during Splatfest, so you may be up against some seriously tough competition. The stages are also set at night, which gives the stages a different look that may throw you off your game. Players will also be forced to wear the Splatfest tee, which may make it difficult to stack certain abilities. All these factors and more make Splatfest matches their own brand of chaos. Tip number 3. Strategize based on the maps. The stages will rotate every 2 hours. 2 stages plus Shifty Station will be in each rotation. At the beginning of each of these rotations, it would be best to take a minute to think about which weapons would be the most effective on each stage. For example, Inkblot Art Academy and Muscleforge Fitness are stages that work really well with long-range weapons such as the Splat Charger and the Jet Squelcher. Walleye Warehouse and Port Mackerel are stages that are great for mid-range weapons and rollers. You may also want to play some turf war matches to get ready for each stage should it be in the rotation when you play Splatfest. Tip number 4. Use weapons that you are comfortable using. You will see many players using different weapons during Splatfest: splattershots, rollers, chargers, blasters, sloshers, and splatlings, to name a few. Everyone has a weapon that they prefer. Be aware that some weapons that usually work for you in Turf War may not work in Splatfest. Because of this, it's a good idea to try different weapons until you find something that works for you. It's generally best to use a weapon that gets a healthy number of splats, I'd say at least 4 to 5 per game, while covering a good amount of turf, which varies with each stage. Tip number 5. Use clothing that complements your Splatfest tee. Your Splatfest tee has the main ability known as Ability Doubler, which doubles the effect of your sub-abilities attached to this gear. Because of this, everyone's Splatfest tee will be different in Splatfest. It would be a good idea to unlock all the abilities before Splatfest starts. Once you have done this, use other gear and weapons that complement the abilities of your Splatfest tee. For example, because your Splatfest tee is produced by Squid Force, the chance of your tee having Ink Resistance Up sub-ability is much higher than any other ability. You can use gear with other Ink Resistance Up to keep your Inkling from getting stuck in opposing teams' ink. You should also consider using weapons that allow you to move fast while using it, such as the Splatter Shot or the Splat Dualies. This is just one example of many that you could choose to use. It's best to come up with your own combination of gear and weapons, then test them in Turf War and be ready for when Splatfest starts. Tip number 6. Certain abilities can't be used in Splatfest matches. Haunt, Respawn Punisher, Thermal Ink, and Ninja Squid. These abilities are main abilities for clothing specifically and can't be used since you must wear the Splatfest tee during Splatfest. Use this knowledge when planning your strategy. For example, Quick Respawn becomes more effective without the threat of Respawn Punisher, so feel free to use Quick Respawn abilities so you're not away from the match too long. You can also breathe easy, knowing that you don't have to worry about Ninja Squids trying to sneak attack you, or Thermal Ink users trying to track you. As I stated earlier, Splatfest matches are different from normal Turf War matches and should be treated as such. Tip number 7. Take a break once you reach Champion rank. Once you reach Champion rank, you will be about halfway to reaching King or Queen rank. It may be a good idea to take a break at this point. From personal experience, the Nintendo Switch can heat up after an hour, and this affects the overall performance of the system. You need to make sure your Switch system is in good shape when in an online shooter, where every second is precious. Halfway on your way to King and Queen rank, go ahead and shut the system off and take a 10-minute break for you and your Switch. Tip number 8. When you reach the King and Queen rank, decide whether to keep playing. After you reach the highest rank possible, you need to ask yourself if you want to keep playing. Remember, every win or loss counts towards your team's overall performance in Splatfest. If you have been winning a majority of your Splatfest matches, it would be a good idea to continue playing to better your team's chances of winning Splatfest. If you haven't been doing well and you continue losing after you reach King and Queen rank, you may be hurting your team's chances of winning Splatfest. This is just something to think about after reaching the highest possible rank. Tip number 9. Watch my video on tips for Turf War. This may be a shameless plug for one of my other videos, but it may help you if you have not been doing well in Turf War. It contains a lot of helpful tips. For instance, tip number 8 states that you should focus on keeping the center area controlled. This not only gives you an advantage of claiming the most turf, but it also keeps the opposing team pushed back so they can't take control. Click the video link at the end of this one to see more tips and tricks to help you in Turf War. And finally, tip number 10. Scrub your Splatfest tee when you're done. After you are all done with Splatfest, you will have to return your Splatfest tee. Since you have to give back your tee, you may as well have it scrubbed by merch to keep the ability chunks. Feel free to do this anytime during Splatfest to get more ability chunks, especially since it only costs 2,000 gold on the Splatfest tee specifically. This has been tips and tricks for Splatfest in Splatoon 2. If you have any tips of your own that I may have missed, please let me know in the comments section below. Make sure you subscribe to Tim Plays a Game and stay tuned for more tips and tricks videos. This is Tim from Tim Plays a Game signing off, and have a good night.